when advocacy is happening at the school level for children that have a disability. I'm talking about advocating for children who have special needs. First of all, let me say, it doesn't matter whether your child has special needs or not. Every parent, all of us, have to advocate for our children's educational rights. Having a disability means you have an extra layer of advocacy that you need to know about. But we're all in this together. Whether your child has a disability or not, you have to know how to advocate for your child. Advocacy does not have to be a me against you or us against them. The best kind of advocacy is the advocacy where people actually work together. Advocacy is really just a parent, an educator, or a community support partner. It is all of us. Everyone is an advocate. And it means speaking up. It means allowing your voice to be heard and respecting the needs of the person or the situation that you are fighting for. And so tonight's presentation is going to be empowering parents, doing advocacy in the educational and the healthcare settings, right? I'm Dr. Rolanda Fabian, and I am always working to empower families. I've been doing education for over 23 years. I absolutely love what I do in education. I've always been an advocate for students and for families and for their rights. And what I started doing this work in particular is because I wanted to reach more than just the students. I wanted to talk with their parents. I wanted to work with organizations. I wanted to spread the word through the community and to anyone who would listen, really. And so I caught the ear of some organizations that wanted to do some training for their parents who shared in the mission that I have, which is to educate and empower parents. And so here we are tonight. Bright IDEA is a team of people who have a heart for this work, and we are excited to be able to share with you what we have learned over the years and the strategies that we have come across and ways that if you need more help and you need more support, we'll guide you in ways that you can get more of what you're looking for. The first thing I wanted to do was to talk with you about advocacy and what it is. Oftentimes, people hear the word advocacy and they think very adversarially. Advocacy does not have to be a me against you or us against them. The best kind of advocacy is the advocacy where people actually work together. Advocacy is really just a parent or an educator or a community support partner. It is all of us. Everyone is an advocate, and it means speaking up. It means allowing your voice to be heard and respecting the needs of the person or the situation that you are fighting for. It is offering support, it's making decisions, and it is actually, when it's done right, advocacy is collaborative. And it is so important that we have advocacy because a lot of the times when you don't have that togetherness, when you don't have that collaboration, things go unsaid, you have misunderstandings, and you don't get the change or you don't get the support or the movement that you're looking for. So advocacy is important to make sure that the rights of people are honored and that people are getting the supports and services that they need. And like I said before, everyone is an advocate. All of us, whenever I go into a room, whenever I'm in a meeting, I don't look at just one person because oftentimes you say, oh, an advocate is coming to the meeting. In my mind, an advocate is whoever is there. As a teacher, you're an advocate. As a community support person, you're an advocate. As a parent, you are an advocate, right? And you need to know what you need to know so that you can properly advocate, right? It's hard to advocate when you don't know what questions to ask or what should be done. So advocacy takes a bit of understanding, and it takes a bit of comprehension on what it is that you are fighting for. As a parent, you are the expert on your child, right? As a teacher, you're the expert in education, right? And if you're a community support person, you're the expert in your role. It takes all of us coming together to meet the need of whoever we're advocating for, especially as parents, if it's for our children, whether that be in a hospital or that be at the doctor's office, in a classroom. We all have to work together to make sure that the needs of that child are being met. So that is Bright Idea's perspective of advocacy. All the situations that require advocacy are anywhere that your child is going to be. I know you have to advocate for your child, sometimes even in after school programs or daycare centers when they're younger, at colleges. Just because they're done with high school doesn't mean it ends. Sometimes they need our support when they're in colleges, right? And sometimes that advocacy can be you. It can also be you teaching your child how to be the advocate. That's one of the things that I try to stress to parents, that you have to be the example of advocacy for your child, because that way they definitely will grow up and be able to advocate for themselves. I actually have a story about that a little later, but that is one of the reasons, that's another reason why it is so important to be an advocate for your child. And of course, if you're advocating, like I said, the right way, you're going to be able to move mountains. And it doesn't necessarily have to happen overnight. The most important thing is that it happens. So you're there supporting your child and learning to be an advocate and teaching them to be an advocate. And one of the benefits is they grow up with strong voices of their own. They are able to get the supports and services that they need in schools. They're able to get the treatment that they need in doctor's offices. And we're all better off because we have worked together to make life better for the person, the child that we are advocating for. And as children don't stay children forever. So it is important to teach them how to advocate at a very early age, either through demonstration and definitely through training. Okay, this poll popped up a second ago. I'm going to try and get it to pop up again because I'm going to speak specifically about advocacy as it relates to educational settings. And there's a little bit of a difference in what advocacy looks like when advocacy is happening at the school level for children that have a disability. So I do have a question, just so I know how to go in this. I want to know how many people participating tonight, how many parents participating tonight have a child that has a disability, or you suspect that your child might have one. Maybe it's not diagnosed by a doctor, or your child's not eligible at school yet, but you as a parent have a gut feeling, or you've seen some signs that your child might have a disability. Oftentimes, I find that parents who have children with special needs are definitely looking for ways to be better at advocacy or get more support in this area. Okay. So when I'm talking about advocating for children who have special needs, first of all, let me say, it doesn't matter whether your child has special needs or not. Every parent, all of us, have to advocate for our children's educational rights. Having a disability means you have an extra layer of advocacy that you need to know about. But we're all in this together. Whether your child has a disability or not, you have to know how to advocate for your child, okay? And one of the things that I like to make sure all parents understand is that when it comes to advocacy in schools, what you have to know how to do is to keep the line of communication open, right? You don't want to create a situation where there's a barrier between you and your child's teacher or the staff, because when there's a lack of communication, there's just room and opportunity for so many things to go wrong. So you want to make sure you keep that line of communication open. And I know that it's a lot of times easier said than done when you have something that you disagree on and you just can't seem to find that common ground. It's really hard to continue to try to keep the conversation going, but it is essential. It's essential for your child's well-being. It's essential for your peace of mind. And so how do you have effective communication? Some of the things that you have to have are open and respectful dialogues. Oftentimes, if you have a concern about your child, voice that concern, but voice it in a way that is conducive to keep the conversation going. Instead of making it about the situation, talk about what it is that's happening and how it's impacting your child. Give examples of that, different things that might be happening or things that you're seeing as the parent. Some of you might not have gone through the eligibility process for special education, but you suspect something's going on. You have the right to ask. Just ask for your child to be evaluated because you have a suspicion that there may be something happening or your child may need extra help. And you're just, as a parent, you're feeling like you need to know this, right? And the schools will work with you to go ahead and evaluate your child. They'll do a comprehensive evaluation, meaning they will look at all the areas where you suspect something may be going on. They'll collect data on that. They'll do tests, and they will come together and share all that information with you to make sure that you understand what has happened and what's going on. They will make sure they have your permission before doing that. The teachers are usually there to help you through this process. So if you are in the early stages where you're thinking something might be going on, but you're not sure, definitely use that as an opportunity to have a conversation with the child teacher and get consent to go ahead and have an evaluation. You want to share information about your child's strengths and areas of concern. You want to develop goals and objectives. You want to see what is going on and the information, the data that the teachers are collecting, and you want to stay proactive. You want to make sure that you are, as much as possible, you are involved. Usually, some of the things that I used to do is I used to ask teachers to develop a little notebook with me, and we would send communications that way. As my children got older, when they were going through school, there were times when I was able to go to the school. I would actually request to have periodic meetings with them just to go over things that I'm concerned about or to hear things that they're concerned about, to come up with plans together. And that was how I was able to work through some of the challenges that I had and keep that bridge of communication open. Most of the time as a parent and as a teacher, if either side, if I'm a parent and I see that there's a teacher who's willing to work with me, and I'm a teacher who sees that there's a parent that's willing to work with me, that's half the battle. Once you are seeing that you have that collaborative relationship, you do make every opportunity to work together. Okay, I also want to make sure that, so that was something that you should do regardless of whether your child has a disability or not. I want to talk to you also about if your child does have a disability. So let's say you have a child who's already done the testing, you've done the evaluation process, and your child has been found to have a disability. They are being served in the special education program, and you're having some challenges with that. Let me say this, for those of you who are either early in that process or you're just getting started, children who have disabilities have an extra layer of protection. It's called either an IEP or a Section 504 plan. IEP is a individual education plan for the child who has a disability. And within those plans are actual outlined opportunities, outlined goals, outlined objectives, outlined strategies. Their coursework is in there. Accommodations that they will need are in that plan. If they have a behavior plan, that is also a part of it, or a transition plan. As children get older, as they go through high school, they need plans for that too. So all of that is inside the IEP plan, and the accommodations, and sometimes even the related services are in the Section 504 plan. And that is there those plans are in place to make sure your child is not discriminated against, that they have full access to every educational opportunity that all the other children who are not diagnosed with a disability or in the special education program are. If they have access to it, your child should have access to it too. And so the thing that is important to know about IEPs and Section 504 plans is to make sure that everything is in writing, that you understand the plan. If you don't understand, ask questions and make sure that you walk away knowing what you can expect for your child through that plan. And that just means your child is going to get everything, all the education that the other children are getting to the fullest extent possible. But then they have these extra services that they're going to need specific to their disability to help them also access other educational opportunities. It's just to level the playing field, right? And in addition to having the plan, that means you'll probably be meeting with teachers more. You'll have your annual review of that plan. You'll have eligibility reviews at least once every 2 to 3 years. It depends on where you are in the country. You will also have an opportunity to amend things. So as you see that your child is making progress, adequate progress, you can meet and change things in that plan. Or if you see that your child is not making progress, you can meet and change things in the plan. The goal is to make sure that you're keeping an eye on how things are progressing for your child so that at the end of the day, you're making sure that they're moving along the educational journey at the pace and rate that they should be according to what's in their plan. You want to make sure they're getting all of their services, okay? And don't be afraid to be an active participant in those meetings. It may be overwhelming or daunting earlier on, but as you get into the groove of going to those meetings, as you see what happens and what you talk about, I know sometimes they can go fast, sometimes they're long, but the goal for you is just to make sure that you understand and all your questions are answered.
Hey there, it's Dr. Rolanda from Bright Idea, and I want to thank you so much for tuning into our video today. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far and you want more of where this came from, guess what? You're in luck. This is only the beginning, so make sure you're subscribed and make sure your notifications are turned on. That way, when we drop the next section of this video, you'll be one of the first to know. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for being a member of Bright Idea. Bye.